we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so last week on Thursday, we talked and completed some 7018 fillet welds, 1/8 inch electrode in the flat position. What we're going to do today, we're going to move on to the horizontal position. Now, a couple different things, a little bit different angles, but for the most part, it's still the same exact stuff. We're overlapping passes, we're building, beads on top of another. Another little difference between those is the stacking of the beads. Horizontally welding a fillet, this is the flat position here, and then horizontal is simply laying it on the table like this, or you could actually lay it this way. So there's actually two ways to do horizontal, okay? When you're welding, after you weld that first pass in the horizontal position, you're going to stack the beads, okay? You're always going to start at the base and work your way up, okay? The reason being is, think about building a house. You can't start at the roof of a house and build the basement later, okay? You gotta lay the foundation. So that first pass is the foundation, okay? If you don't have that pass, you start at the top and try to build your way down, you're gonna get what's called cold lap, okay? And it's going to be the weld sitting on top of your base metal, but not actually penetrating into your basement, okay? So this is actually the same piece that we used last week. Sorry about that. So this is the same piece that we actually used last week. We did our flat position on one side, and now we're going to complete the horizontal position on the other side. Now, so I can get a better, chip and brush when we put this on the table, I'm actually going to tack it to the table just like I do everything else, just to help keep it in place. Nothing worse than trying to, clean something and having to move your hand because the metal's so hot. So we're gonna tack this to the table. We're gonna perform our welds, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Now that I have my chipping hammer and my wire brush, we're using 7018, and my machine's actually still set up the same as it was last week. Okay, we're at 139 amps, running on a DC positive. Okay, I'm gonna stick my electrode into my electrode holder. I'm gonna stick it here on the side so I get my hood on. Okay. Now, same thing, always be comfortable when you're putting this in a position, okay? So for me, I like to have it at a slight angle, okay? Some might like to have it straight. If you're lefty, you might like to have it facing the opposite way. So find a place where you want to get comfortable and tack your piece there, okay? Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my position that is going to be most comfortable for me. Okay, right here seems like a pretty good position. Okay, so we're going to tack our plate right here where it's at. All right. Remember, the bigger the tack you put on here, the more grinding you're going to have to do at the end of the day. Okay, just like before, get rid of that flux on there. Okay, now this first pass that we're going to weld, we're splitting this. This is 90 degrees, so our angle, our work angle is going to be at a 45 degree, because that's splitting this 90 degree angle in half. Okay, so our first pass is going to be right here, 45 degrees with a 10 to 15 degree travel angle. Okay. Remember, the first pass you weld, you're going to go nice and slow. Make sure you're getting good penetration. let it cool for a second. Remember, you want to get all that slag out of there as much as you can. Now we're going to take this. I'll show you our root pass here. Okay, we have equal toe lengths, so that means we have the same amount of weld on the top as we do on the bottom. Now, for the second pass that we're going to complete, now remember, we're building from the bottom up. So we're going to start at our base metal on the bottom, okay? Now we're going to take that 45-degree angle that we had for the initial root pass, okay? We're going to take a 45-degree angle and we're going to move it up, okay? We're going to be at about a 30-degree angle, okay? Now, we're going to be taking away, same thing as in the flat position, half of this weld, okay? Except the half of the weld that we're going to be taking away is going to be the bottom half, okay? Now, in the flat position, you know, wherever you're comfortable, you can weld left to right or right to left, or if it's different thickness materials, you can weld from the thicker material to the thinner material, focusing more heat on the thicker material, okay? With this, you always want to start at the bottom. So, we're going to start here, take our 45-degree angle, move it up to about a 30-degree angle, and we're going to take away that bottom half of that weld. All right, here we go. Same thing in the horizontal position. Once you finish your weld, you want to wrap around that edge. You don't want to stop right on the edge. You want to wrap that around. That way you can ensure you got buildup on your edge. Okay? Straight. All right, we're going to show our second pass here. All right, now for our third pass, we're going to take that 30-degree angle, okay, and we're going to drop it to about a 70-degree angle. Okay, we want to make sure that we're tying into this top piece and the weld that we just created. Okay, so 45 for the first pass, 30 for the second pass, and then about a 70 for the third pass. Okay, now if you weld this third pass still at a 45, what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of undercut on the top of this weld because you have the wrong rod angle. Okay. That's why we need to drop this down to a 30-degree angle or a 70-degree angle. Okay, weld right across here. Okay. Now, remember we can go a little bit faster because it's not our initial root pass. Okay, I'm still welding at 140 amps, which is a little bit hot. And you guys can take that down and you know, be at like 115, 120, somewhere around that range. But 140 is pretty comfortable for me, and this metal is thick enough to where, you know, it'll take that heat. Okay, so now I moved it in the slot in here to make it much easier when I start welding. See how we have our natural almost 70-degree angle, okay? And then fire up. Okay, let this cool for a second. Okay, here's our pass number 3. Okay, a little bit of spatter there at the end. That happens sometimes. Okay. Just turn it down a little bit because I'm getting a lot of heat on here. I'm just going to reuse one of these old rods. Okay. So we created our first pass right here in the center. Okay. And then we stuck our second pass on the bottom, taking the bottom half of that first weld away. And then we stuck our third pass on the top, splitting the second weld that we created and tying it into our top piece. Okay. Now, for our fourth overall pass, we're going to make a 3-stringer pass on this fillet weld. Okay, so we're going to start on the bottom again, okay, at a 30-degree angle, okay, create our weld, okay, come back here in the center with a 45-degree angle, create a fillet weld, and then come back here to the start with a 70-degree angle, and then create our fillet weld. So we're going to have 3 welds that go across here, 30, 45, and 70, 3 different angles, okay? And generally, those are about the 3 different angles that you guys are going to use, okay? This is a shorter rod, so I did put this in here at an angle. That way it'll help me get a little bit closer to the material, okay? So we're going to lay our fourth pass right. Remember, if you don't have enough rod to complete the entire weld, go about halfway and then we're going to restart. And you don't have to remove all of the slag until the weld's complete, just where you're going to be restarting on your weld. Okay? Like that. We're going to restart here. Cool. Okay, this is pass number 4. Okay, right here on the bottom. Now we're going to be completing pass number 5 and 6 here in just a few short moments. Okay, for pass 5, we're going to be 45-degree angle. We're going to make the weld right in the center, overlapping pass number 4. 45. Okay, we have pass 5 here. All right, now we're going to drop that at 45-degree angle. It's a slag, right? We're going to drop that 45 to a 70, okay? We're going to make sure that we're tying into this top weld with no undercut on the top part. Okay, 70-degree angle, get comfortable. Okay, should be able to see down here. Equal toe lengths. I'm going to try and make it as smooth as you can all the way across there. Okay. Now we're going to stop there at 6 passes. So this is 70-18 horizontal 1/8 inch electrode.